Welcome, everybody, to the PHDJ podcast. My name is Mike.
What's up, everybody? It's Joe, live from my house.
I know, Joe, the setting is a little bit different for those watching on YouTube. And if you're not, if you're just listening, Joe is usually at his desk with all the pictures behind him.
That's right.
And it's a weird camera angle that you're giving us right now, but you just explained to me why. Do you want to tell the listeners?
Well, I just had a little bit of, as you guys know, I've had just random skin cancer bouts throughout my adult life, all based on probably when I was 18 wearing no sunscreen, and now it's caught up to me at age 50. But I just had to get a few stitches in my back. It's not melanoma, it's basal cell. I've been putting it off for too long, and I had, I think, one more weekend before I really had to go back into wedding season. So I was like, I got to go get this done. So they gave me some pain meds, and I didn't sleep that well. But I wanted, but Mike and I are committed to.
We are very committed to our weekly podcast, and while we're on the subject of medical, I am withholding my promise, or not withholding. I'm abstaining, honoring my promise. A week from tomorrow, I'm getting the camera up my poop chute. So I am going to have that colonoscopy, and I promise it will be before my birthday, which is still 3 weeks away. So
love it.
I will get that done. So
thank you.
Yeah. So next week when we record, I might be popping the pills and running up to the bathroom halfway through. So that's my day before, which is, from what I understand, the clean out day. So
yeah, that's the only unpleasant part, man.
Yeah.
You don't remember anything else.
Right. Yeah. Kelly told me, I mean, and she said it wasn't that bad, that part. So we'll see. Boy, this is a TMI for our listeners. Hey, but before we get on the weekly subject, I was just talking to Mitch Taylor earlier in the week, and he reminded me, Midwest DJ Live, it's a month away. So want to mention to our listeners once again, I will be there. I am doing a seminar with Todd Powers called Forever Young. It's about staying relevant as you age in this industry. And I want to say this seminar is not just for old people. In fact, I think it's more relevant and helpful for younger DJs in their 30s and 40s, because Todd and I are going to give you some advice about things you can start doing now that will help you if you do aspire to be a lifer in this industry. That would help you if you started them now. That would help you once you get into your 50s and 60s. So I hope
honestly,
everyone.
I couldn't agree with that more, Mike. Like, as I'm thinking about what I saw in Atlantic City, that's kind of exactly what I was thinking. Because I think some guys, your David Sporns of the world, they're realizing at age, whatever, how old that kid is, 25 or so, under 30, that he is going to have longevity in this if he wants to. So hearing these things now is almost like a precursor of what's to come, and like how you keep being relevant. Like you said, it's a great topic, man. And Todd Powers is like one of my favorite people ever.
I have not co-presented with a lot of people in my life. Obviously, we did an entire workshop, 2-day workshop together. But Todd is one of the few people I've ever co-presented with, and I did it once back in Atlantic City with him in August, and when we had the opportunity to do it again at Midwest, I jumped on it. He was a pleasure to co-present with. He brings it. He prepares. He's organized. He rehearses, and I felt really good about the presentation. So if you are on the fence about Midwest DJs Live, please grab a ticket. Mitch told me they still have some available. I'd love to see you there. Obviously, I'll be hanging out for a couple of nights as well, so maybe we can grab a drink and
especially you guys that can drive in. That's a easy drive for a lot of people in the whatever that area.
Yeah, it's travelable from Chicago, and it's in Milwaukee. So topic of the week, which is pretty much everybody's topic of the week, was what happened at the Oscars. So I'm always fascinated by this, Joe. First of all, I know you were not watching the Oscars live, correct?
I was not.
I'm one of the handful of people. I mean, listen, they had 15 million viewers, which is way down. I mean, they used to get 3 times that, but 15 million is still not something to, it's certainly not NHL Stanley Cup final numbers, which are even more embarrassing. But so you were not watching it. So how does a Joe Bunn find out? Did you find out Sunday night? Did you find out Monday morning?
Nope,
Go ahead.
Not. So I wake up. I reach over on the bedstand. This would have been Monday.
You wake up Monday morning. Okay.
Monday morning, right. Oh, wait. The show was on Sunday, right?
It was Sunday night.
Oscar. Yeah. I wake up.
And the slap happened at about 10 o'clock, I think, Eastern.
Okay. I was definitely awake, but I was not watching that. I was watching Yellowstone. But I reach over, I pick up my phone Monday morning, and Randy says, "Did you watch the Oscars last night?" And I just wrote back, "No." And then he goes, "Check your Instagram." So he had sent me the uncensored version
Right.
of the slap heard around the world to my Instagram. So
Okay.
technically,
So it was
I was
Monday
informed
morning.
by Randy that was watching it live.
Okay. So I think people have, I mean, we're recording this on Wednesday, so this is 4 days
Right.
after the fact. When it drops, it'll
Yeah.
be Thursday, 5 days after the fact. This thing has been mulled over. I don't want to get into who was right. I don't want to get into whether it was a fake or not. But let's, as we always do on this podcast, let's try to make it relevant about our industry. First and foremost, Joe, have you ever...
Hold on one second. Can I tell you real quick before you go into this?
Good.
So as a live watcher, were you like, what was your reaction? Because you literally see it. You're watching.
I watched it. I watched it from. I watched it from the red carpet on. I'm a geek when it comes to award shows, and especially the Oscars. I get obsessed every year. I watch, and I did. I watched every single movie that was nominated. Yep. So I sit down, and even for years I went to a party. For years my sister hosted a party. She doesn't do that anymore. I think COVID put the final nail in that. But I still filled out a Oscar ballot, and I still sat here on my couch geeking out. I did very well with it. Strangely enough, as a DJ, the best song is one of the ones I got wrong. I got most of them right. I thought the Beyonce song from King Richard was the best song, but they gave it to Billie Eilish from the James Bond. I was in shock, Joe. I was like, what the fuck? And I got to be honest, when it first happened, I thought this is a bit. But but that, I mean, that's literally as he comes up on stage. As soon as the smack happened, there is probably 30. You said you watched the unedited, but if you watch what we saw, I mean, it's like 30 seconds of dead air. There's a video jump because you know, and I understand what delay is. So there's a video jump to get them back on. You can, I mean, they muted what Will Smith says, but any person with any kind of lip reading skills can tell exactly. Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
Twice.
I was shocked by it. I really was. I had no doubt in the moment that it was real. I still don't doubt that it was real, but I was shocked by it. And then as the night went on, I was shocked that he wasn't removed, because, you know, how does security not come over and go, "Excuse me, sir, you got to get out of here"? And then
can't do that in any
none of the comics who were hosting the show referenced it. I shouldn't say referenced it. I mean, Amy Schumer made the joke about, "Hey, did I miss anything? I was backstage." And then he wins the award about 40 minutes later and gets a rousing ovation. And that was a little bit of a shock to me. Have you seen the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar post? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar wrote something. I would suggest every listener, Joe, you too, I would look for it.
Okay.
He brought up a lot of great points, I thought, anyway. But like I said, we're focused on the DJ aspect.
I'm sorry. I had to know what your reaction was.
Let's start with, have you ever been physically accosted at an event? If so, what did you do? And if not, if something similar happened to you at an event, smack in the face, what would you do?
I have been twice at club events by ex-girlfriends.
That sounds like a podcast in all of its own. Wow. Okay.
This girl, I was in this raised DJ booth at this place here in Raleigh when I was 20, before I was married, so 25. This girl that I was dating on and off came in. She was drunk. She came up in the DJ booth. We had words. She throws a drink in my face. So I'm playing like it's packed, like it's happening. And I was shocked. And then she goes to turn and get out of the DJ booth and falls down the steps, like 2 steps. So then I'm like, this is insane. I go down there and offer my hand to help her up. And she punched me in the face. Like, not Will Smith style.
Not a slap, but a punch. Right.
All my friends are crying. Now they're making it even worse because they're like, he just got hit in the face. My ears are ringing. The music's still playing. It's like, finally, I just saw some security guy and he took her out of the place. And then a second time, it wasn't a slap. Again, it was a full pint of ice cold beer in the face as the girl walked out.
But again, spurned lover. That's
yes,
okay. So
yes,
all right. So not quite exactly the same thing. But so in neither case, first of all, they were clubs, so you weren't.
Correct.
You didn't have a client to go to. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's say and I'll give you my. I've never been physically struck, but I was threatened.
Same.
To the point of I had an uncle of I think the bride, but it could have been the groom. I forget, years ago. He asked me a few times to turn it down.
Right.
And I mean, I literally I couldn't get people dancing to the volume. He came up to me again and he said, "Look, motherfucker," finger in my face. He said, "We will take this outside if you don't turn this music down." I traveled across country to see my family. I can't even talk to my family. So I shut the music all the way down. I walked up to the bride and groom. I said, "Your uncle just threatened me." I said, "So I will keep the music off until you explain to him that we hired this DJ to play music. He's playing music. Yeah. If he comes up to me anywhere near me again, I'm shutting the music off completely." And I forget whose side of the family, but they went up to the uncle. I saw them, and then they gave me a thumbs up. He stayed away from me the rest of the night. So that's the closest I ever came to it.
I have a very similar story. Where I actually did have it was a guest. He was just belligerent. I remember he wanted to hear something that just wasn't appropriate or whatever, back and forth. And finally I had to go over to the couple and was like, "This guy's a problem. Like, I can't do my job if he's going to keep up." And he was threatening me. Like, he wanted to literally fight me. And so I had to tell the couple, which is, in my opinion, that there's only two moves, right, Mike? It's either A, tell the wedding planner, which, like you and I have talked about, we don't always have that luxury, or B, approach the couple, or I guess you could even maybe talk to the venue management. I don't know.
I don't know if venue management has anything to do with it. Do you have a clause in your contract about it?
I do.
I should have looked this up beforehand, but yeah.
I see you looking down. I probably should have as well, but yes. I'm trying to think of.
I thought we used to. Maybe we don't.
I'm pretty sure.
I know we have a clause about people handling our equipment.
Right.
The equipment accessories will not be handled. You will be responsible for any damages caused indirectly. But no, I don't think we have anything about that. But whether it's in your contract or not, I think it's logical that if you are threatened, and certainly if you are physically struck, that you have the right to shut the music off and go to the couple and basically explain to them. And that's pretty much what I would do in that scenario. And like I said, I did something similar in that scenario when I felt threatened. Hey, sorry to interrupt our podcast, but I have to share something alarming with you. I just found out that there are some DJs who still aren't using DJ Event Planner. Can you believe it? I barely can. I mean, this software does it all. It streamlines everything you need to run a successful DJ business in one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner is perfect for boutique DJs as well as large multi-ops. Your sales will increase with their best-in-the-business CRM tools and automated emails. And your customer satisfaction will go through the roof as your clients start to use the awesome online planning tools. Best of all, there's no software to install and no backups to worry about. So if you're one of those few DJs who haven't switched over yet, what are you waiting for? Head to djeventplanner.com right now and start your free 30-day trial. Go ahead. Joe and I will be here when you get back. All right, so let's talk about this. If you were the DJ playing, and I can tell you from watching the telecast, they did try to mix things up a little bit. They had a DJ spinning the first hour, then they had a band on stage for the second hour, and then they went to the orchestra underneath for the third hour. So there was no DJ by the time this happened. But let's say there had been a live DJ. Now, the scenario goes like this. My training guys are early. Come on in, guys. But I'm on a podcast, so you're gonna have to chill for a while. So the scenario went like this: Will Smith comes out. He's there to give an award. The smack happens. He gives the award out, which happens to be for Questlove's best documentary.
I've heard that's incredible. By the way,
it was. Kelly and I saw it over the summer. It's called Summer of Love, or Summer So
of Soul.
Summer of Soul. I'm sorry. Thank you. Yeah. And it's about a music festival that happened. I'm sorry. Now I got guys showing up. I got the dogs. I apologize, listeners.
It's okay.
But
it's okay.
So Questlove comes up. He's flustered because of the whole thing that happened. I feel so bad for Questlove because he loses his moment. So then after that, they go to commercial. If you were the DJ, what would you have played something like, I know the cliche is like Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting or something like that, or would you have ignored it and done something else?
I think I would have ignored it and just played like an instrumental out.
Yeah.
I think I would have been so shocked I wouldn't have tried to be cute. You know what I mean?
I think I would have too. Having seen the documentary, I know that Stevie Wonder was in the documentary, so I might have gone with a Stevie Wonder song.
Oh, right.
And almost tried to just tried to put the focus more on what really just happened, which was Questlove won an award for well-deserved award for a documentary that he made. So I probably would have shifted the focus to that. Had it gone directly to commercial right after the smack, I don't know. I might have done something. Who does smack that? Is that Akon? I might have gone there just to try to add some levity to the room. I don't know. Who knows?
Man, it's just so shocking.
Yeah, exactly. And this is 4 days later, me having the opportunity to think about it. I don't know in the moment if I would have tried to ignore it. I mean, but have you ever you've had fights break out at your events?
Sure.
So do you play a song that references it, or do you just kind of try to ignore it?
I usually don't. I just try and go back to get back to the party or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm very, number one, I don't know that I'm as quick as you are, like with a pun or a song or a joke or a relevant thing. You know what I mean? In terms of just like, I can think of something like that.
Right.
But I am good at just like non-conflict. Let's go back to the party type thing.
I think that's more me too. I avoid conflict whenever I can.
Same.
You know. All right. So is Will Smith canceled? Or I wrote it in my notes. Is he R. Kelly'd?
Wow.
Do you, if you had a gig this weekend, and listen, I don't play a lot of Will Smith anyway. What if you're asked for Will Smith? What's your go-to?
Oh, Getting Jiggy.
Okay.
Yeah. Or Miami, I guess, but Getting Jiggy with it.
Yeah.
But
I think I usually do the Prince of Bel-Air theme. That seems to go over really well. But either way, would you think to play an R. Kelly song in the next couple? I mean, a Will Smith song in the next couple of weeks, or would you avoid it out of like I'd rather not make people think of that?
Man, that's a great question, Mike.
Joe, I only try to ask good questions on this.
This
podcast.
is a really good one.
There's no point in shitty questions on this podcast.
I think I would still play Will Smith if somebody came up tomorrow night or Saturday night and said play it. I'd probably run it, and unless they were trying to do it like maliciously, you know what I mean? I don't think you have to, we're talking about, violence, not acceptable, I agree. But we're also talking about the filthy things that R. Kelly did versus slapping another man for insulting your wife. Like, you know what I mean? Like the crime doesn't fit the punishment or whatever they say.
I agree with you. Matter of fact, if I don't have a gig this weekend, if I did, I might actually go out of my way to play Will Smith because based on my Facebook feed, it's a 50-50, maybe 60-40 but there's definitely a lot of people that think Will Smith was not only in the right, but they're praising him. So, and to your point, it's not a heinous crime. Listen, I thought it was inappropriate. I think Will Smith should suffer some punishment. I don't know what that means. Certainly not jail time or anything like that.
No.
But yes, we're talking about a smack in the face. We're not talking about child molestation. We're not talking about murder. He didn't shoot him. You know what I mean? So I think as far as a pop culture moment, I think most people find it humorous rather than earth-shatteringly. So, I've gone out of my way to talk about how I still to this day avoid R. Kelly. If a client asks for it, I'll play it, but I'm not going out of my way because to me,
I'm the same way, man.
I know he's not been convicted of anything, but I just don't want to remind people in the room that, something really bad happened to to children. But this is different to me, And
I used to love that Ignition remix to close out.
Yeah.
Loved it.
You mean Close at Night?
It was near the end. Yeah.
Really?
Especially if I was trying to like bring it down. You know what I mean? Because you know how I usually bring it down and then send them off. It would be something like hyperspeed, energy, boom, close it out.
Right.
Especially if it was on their list.
In 2019, Mike Walter delivered one of the most memorable seminars ever offered at a DJ convention. It was called Why People Dance, and it was a deep dive into the psychology of dancing. Mike used research and statistics to back up his theories and included tons of song suggestions to maximize your events. And now he's made this video for this groundbreaking seminar available for the unbelievably low price of $29.99. Head to djmikewalter.com, click on the Why People Dance tab, and order your copy today.
So you saw the clip. Did you then see Chris Rock introducing the award? Or have you only just seen the smack clip?
I only saw the smack, and then he said, "Wow, Will Smith just slapped the shit out of me," and that's about where my...
Which is what the viewer never heard, right? So once they came back to, the show. Chris Rock, he then attempts to present the award. He's flustered. He does it, but he does trip over his word. He actually says at one point, okay, well, we're here to present the Oscar for the documentary. And then he trips over another word. And finally, he realizes he's got a pre-recorded, because what they do with these shows now, which is smart, they pre-record the list of nominees. This way, you don't have a John Travolta moment where he mispronounces Idina Menzel or whatever. So and I think that's what Chris Rock realized. Oh, I've got a pre-recorded piece to go to. So he just said, roll the tape or something like that. And then he went to the tape. I give Chris Rock so I'm sorry that you haven't seen it because you really can't comment on it. I give Chris Rock some credit, man, because I've been in situations, and it's nowhere near this, but I've been presenting seminars when a phone goes off in the crowd. And that takes me off my game. I have to go, oh, now I got to find my notes and where was I and everything else.
Or I'll walk in 15 minutes late.
Or Joe walks in 15 minutes late and distracts. Right. I can't imagine doing a seminar. And P.S., I'm not encouraging anyone to test me on this. But I can't imagine doing a seminar and getting smacked in the face and then expecting to recover and continue. So again, Chris, if you get a chance to see the tape, Chris Rock wasn't perfect. He did trip over a couple words, but I give him a shit ton of credit for even doing I give him a ton of credit for not punching back or smacking back or whatever.
That's what I was about to say.
Maintaining decorum. I think a lot of that was the fact that he was just shocked as hell. But I give him a ton of credit for that, and also a ton of credit for just not walking off the stage. I mean, I don't think anyone would have blamed him if he was like, fuck you and your Oscars, I'm done. And then what would have happened? I guess somebody else would have had to come out. But so I do give him some credit. He did get flustered a little bit, but I give him credit as far as that goes.
Even the clip I saw, where he does get smacked and he's just like, wow. You know what I mean? And he did curse, and it obviously had to go on mute.
And he attempted, his attempt at a joke was, wow, what did he say? Something like, this is the greatest night in television history or something like that.
Well, then he even said, after Will Smith screams, keep my wife's name out of your mouth, he goes, it's a G.I. Jane joke, or something like that. Which,
I mean, not to analyze a joke, but when you think about it, he's paying a compliment because Demi Moore was badass. Now, I know the reference to her hair, but if you've ever seen G.I. Jane, she's a freaking badass in that movie. So if you're calling my wife a tough badass, that's not real. I know you're making fun of her hair more than anything and the alopecia, which we don't know if Chris Rock knew about. But still in all, I'm like, dude, he didn't call her a hoe. He didn't call her the C word. So I don't know. Which isn't it so funny? I've dropped an F-bomb and shit, but I can't say the C word. I don't know what that is.
Dude, I will say, I mean, just to wrap this up, there was a couple of moments that I've seen. I've analyzed this thing like the freaking Zapruder film. For 2 days, I've been obsessed with it. But he laughed at the joke originally, and then out of the corner of his eye, he sees Jada Pinkett is not laughing.
Oh yeah.
And then he gets up. But there is another beef point between them. He made a joke. And again, you'd have to look up what year at the Oscars.
Yes.
And he goes,
he was hosting that year. And that was the year that there were no African Americans nominated. So a lot of African Americans boycotted. And so Chris, did you hear Chris Rock's line, which is pretty funny?
Yeah.
That's like me
amazing.
boycotting Rihanna's panties. You got to be invited first, which is a very funny line. So did Will Smith have an anger issue from 7 years ago or whatever?
Right.
Maybe.
Right.
Who knows? Anyway, I want to give a shout out to Brian Bonacisi, our good friend. He did a podcast the other day about this, and he made an excellent point. He said, this is a great reminder that before you make a joke as an MC, is it worth it? Is it? And I'm sure if Will Smith had an opportunity now to rethink that joke, he probably wouldn't make it after everything that was said and done.
You mean
Obviously,
Chris Rock?
Yeah, Chris Rock. I'm sorry. I'm sure that he would. And the funny thing is, he had a couple of really good jokes right before that joke. So if he had just left it there, but anyway,
I didn't listen to Brian's. I'm going to. I just didn't want to be like influenced on ours. But yeah, the Travel Blend DJ is Brian B's podcast. Go listen to that. But and I'll just say the final thing on based off that statement you just made from Brian. Agreed 100%, Mike. Like Mike and I have talked about this in various things, but like how there's so many opportunities to say something off color or nasty, like during the bouquet or the garter removal. I'm sorry, the garter removal. And even, especially back in the day when it was very common for, a stranger to put the garter back on another stranger, but it's like, bite your tongue.
Yeah, there are some jokes that are just not worth making. And I got my 3 trainees here. I'm pointing at you guys too. That's a lesson to be learned, man.
That's right.
There are some jokes, that pop into your head, and then you got to think about them and realize, maybe this isn't worth making. All right. So before we wrap up, while we're talking about award shows, so because of COVID and postponements, we actually have 2 in a row. So we have the Oscars Sunday, which I know a lot of DJs won't listen to and watch, but this Sunday, we now have the Grammys, which DJs, you should be there, man. You should be checking it out. Joe, you will be watching, or do you have an event on Sunday night?
1,000%. We'll be watching. Carolina Tar Heels on Saturday night, Grammys Sunday.
Oh, that's right. You got your Tar Heels.
Final Four, baby.
You bully the way you beat up on St. Peter's.
We beat up on them.
God, you did. Did you feel good about that, Joe? Your school is like 100 times bigger than St. Peter's, and you ended there. All right, so let's just make a prediction. Record of the year. That's usually the big one, right? Or is it song of the year? Is it record of the year or song of the year? What's the big one?
But those are the last 2.
Yeah, usually the last 2.
Are you going to hit me with the nominations?
I'm going to hit you with the nominations, and this is just an example of how all over the freaking map. ABBA, which, if you remember, ABBA released an album last year that nobody listened to. I listened to it once and went, well, I'm not going to be using that. Apparently, they had a song called I Still Have Faith in You. I couldn't tell you. John Baptiste, who is the band leader for Stephen Colbert Show, his song Freedom is up for it. Tony Bennett and Lady Gaga, I Get a Kick Out of You, that's up for it. Talk about all over the map, huh? Justin Bieber, Peaches. Brandy Carlisle, Right on Time. Doja Cat, Kiss Me More. Billie Eilish, Happier Than Ever. Lil Nas X, Montero. Olivia Rodrigo, Driver's License. And Silk Sonic, Leave the Door Open. What's going to win for Record of the Year?
Why are there so many nominees?
I don't know. It's weird, right? It's almost like they're stealing from the Oscars. The Oscars is now 10 Best Movie Pictures, Best Movie nominees. Yeah, I don't know. Does one of those stand out to you as this year's go-to?
Yeah, one of the pop songs.
I agree. I think the oldies are just thrown in there to give a little nod.
That's right. Jesus, man. I don't know. It's impossible.
I have a feeling it's going to be Olivia Rodrigo's night. I think she's up for new artist. I think she'll win. She was the hot girl last year. So I think she's got a good chance with Driver's License. But I also think Lil Nas, I think the Grammys might want to do a little controversy. There was some controversy over that video. Montero and Lil Nas X carries a little bit of edginess to him. So I think that, but I think it comes, I'd be shocked if it's not one of those 2 songs.
I'll go with that.
Billie Eilish was a couple years ago. Doja Cat maybe stands a chance with Kiss Me More, but my prediction would be to come down to those 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll agree with you.
All right. My friend, I hope you feel better.
I will.
You'll be back to normal. And next week we will do a Grammy. We'll do our annual Grammy recap. So listeners, please tune in Sunday night or record it Sunday night and watch it at some point. And we'll recap them next week.
Have a great training, Mike.
Thanks, Joe. Have a good one.
Bye. All right, guys.
Bye.